It seems like a paradox. I mean, why would we celebrate the execution of an innocent man? It begs the question, what's so good about Good Friday? Well, this grueling series of events started the night before when Jesus was betrayed by one of his own and then arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. They took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where this ridiculous kangaroo court of religious leaders and teachers of the law had assembled. They were looking for any false evidence that they could use just to put him to death. Well, Jesus was silent at first. Then in frustration, Caiaphas stood up and he demanded to know if he was the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus replied, "Yes, it is as you say." Then the high priest tore his clothes and accused Jesus of blasphemy. And his accusers exploded in anger as they spit in his face, as they mocked him and struck him with their fist. Now, as you read this narrative, you can feel and almost smell the hatred that spewed from this putrid cesspool of their self-righteousness. Jesus was a threat to their religious system. He was a threat to their lifestyle and their control over people. He did not fit their idea of the Messiah. And his teaching, well, his teaching exposed how they had twisted God's truth into their own truth, into their own perverted laws and legalistic systems. Now, they would stop at nothing to eliminate this threat. Next, they brought Jesus to Pilate. He was the Roman governor of Judea at the time, and they suggested that he was subversive to the nation and posed a threat to Roman occupation by his claim to be the king of the Jews. Pilate interrogated him and concluded that he found no fault in Jesus. But he had him flogged, perhaps thinking that this would satisfy his accusers. It was after that that the Roman soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and pressed it into his head. They clothed him with this purple robe and they mocked him, "Hail, King of the Jews." After that, Pilate tried again to get the Jews to take Jesus away. But the crowd was relentless, shouting, "Crucify him, crucify him." Finally, Pilate gave in to their demands, and he handed Jesus over to be crucified. Jesus had to carry his own cross, the instrument of his death, up to a hill known as Golgotha or Calvary, the place of the skull. Nails were driven into his hands and his feet, pinning him to the cross that was then lifted upright and bluntly dropped into a hole. Jesus was now on shameful display between two criminals until he breathed his last breath. So, how can this Friday be good? I mean, why did it happen? Why the cross? And why Jesus? Well, first of all, you have to understand how bad things are. How bad things are for us. Romans 3:10 through 12 says, "None is righteous, no, not one. No one understands. No one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one." Well, that assessment is not based on comparing one human with another. It's determined by comparing all of humanity with God alone, who is righteous. Our so-called righteousness, well, that's in a different category. It's puny and sometimes self-serving. It's relatively meaningless. None of us come close to measuring up. All of us fall miserably short. And that's what sin is. And sin means death. Not just physical death, as in one day we're all going to die, but eternal death. And there is only one solution. Hebrews 9:22 says, "The law requires that nearly everything be cleansed with blood. And without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness." The law that Jesus' accusers claimed to know, they claimed to know it so well, required this. Well, all of the animal sacrifices in the temple were preparing us for the ultimate sacrifice of the Lamb of God, the one and only Son of God, for the sins of the world. The horrible brutality of the cross was required because of the horrible brutality of our sin. Jesus died for the worst of us, the murderers and the rapists, the users and abusers, the con men and thieves. But he also died for the best of us, the humanitarians and philanthropists, the doctors and nurses, the pastors and missionaries. Jesus died for the worst of us, and he died for the best of us, because all of us need forgiveness. All of us need a Savior. I sometimes wonder if the devil and his demons thought that in that moment when Jesus died, that it was indeed a Good Friday for them. I mean, did they think the death of God's Son was a victory for Satan? Well, regardless, the resurrection of Jesus changed everything. You see, we don't stop at the crucifixion, but we don't skip over it either. We can't get to the resurrection without first going to the cross. That's where God dealt with our sin once and for all who believe. And this is very good news. And this is why we call this Friday good. Hey, before you do whatever you usually do to celebrate Easter Sunday, I want to encourage you to stop for a moment and think about Friday. Have you been to the cross and put your faith in the sacrifice of Jesus for your sins? Has Good Friday really been good for you?